Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about discussing why you left your last job in an interview. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Fredrik, can you talk a little bit about how you should discuss why you are looking for a new job and why you left your previous position when you're in an interview with the new potential employer? And the short answer is that you need to express, or the safe thing here is to express that you had a difference in your value system in comparison to your previous employer. Let me explain. So the first rule of Fight Club is that you never ever talk about it. And this is very true for previous employers as well. When you may... I'm just going to say it as best as I can here, guys. It doesn't matter how shitty your previous employer was from your perspective. It doesn't matter how much you hate them. It doesn't matter how little they appreciated you, etc., etc., etc. When you are in front of a new employer in an interview situation, they don't know anything about you. You're basically a blank slate. This is why it's so important to get things on paper. This is why the CV is more important than like having a personal brand, if that makes sense. It makes everything much easier for you. It's sort of, well, it's very similar to being famous, if you will. It's always going to be easier for you to get what you want in life if you're gorgeous and a movie star or some famous sort of person. In general, because people have preconceptions about you. And unless you have these things going for you, what's going to happen if you start bash talking your previous employer and saying that, oh, they were absolutely shit and so forth, is that it's going to, you may get away with it, but it may also look that you're a very petty person who backtalks people. It might actually kind of reverse on you, and the person who's going to do the hiring is going to get a bad impression of you. But what you can do, which is the thing that you should do if you ask me, which is usually the mature thing, the thing that, and this is actually something that where this person who's asking this question asks this because this is a very tricky situation. It's a hard thing to discuss this, but I hope that with this tip you will be able to do this consistently, actually turn this into a very positive thing for you. So what I'm saying is that you should start by basically saying that, I felt that I didn't really see eye to eye with the company's value system. I felt that we had a difference of opinion of how to work efficiently and how to deliver good quality software. Now what they're going to do, that's the first thing that is going to happen after you say that. They're going to ask, oh, well, but could you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean by having a difference of opinion? Now, this is the hook. You've just hooked them into allowing you right now to basically express your personal value system and how that may differ from the company's value system. Now, they have no way to verify what you're about to say. There is no way that they can do this. If you can basically, if you formulate yourself correctly, you will look very, very good now. And it doesn't even have to, I mean, you can, I'm not suggesting that you should lie here, but you could if you wanted to, and they have absolutely no way of verifying it. And you're basically, you've just set yourself up for bragging if you know how to do this correctly. So an example would be, well, I felt that we were losing a perspective on quality. What I mean is that the deadlines became so important that we couldn't really take care of proper unit testing, and I felt that our overall quality of the application and our regression bugs were kind of climbing. And I was trying to suggest some improvements in order to make this go away or to help us with this. I was trying to push my manager to at least consider using things like automated testing and maybe having code reviews do proper code reviews and maybe a little bit of pair programming on more complicated features, things like that. Just something that we could, a few processes that we could put in place in order to maintain the software quality. But it was very tricky to get this to happen. If you say something like that, guys, what you just expressed, in essence, you can use your own, of course, use your own words. you have just expressed that you worked in an environment where people were more concerned about the deadline, and this is pretty much every single company. Guys, it's most likely that it's the guy that you're talking to most likely have the exact same problem in their company, because every single company has this problem where they struggle between quality and delivery speed. Every company has it. Even Google has this problem. So if you say that you were working in a company where this was a bit of an issue, this is fucking normal. Everybody has this problem. But if you then also express that you felt that there was that we were actually losing quality of the application because we weren't caring enough about it, and then you also say that, and I was trying to push for some improvements, then what you are communicating is that you have principles. You are communicating that you have an eye for improvements, things that you can actually do, or something that can happen in order to alleviate this situation. And thirdly, you're actually also proving that you are a very mature person who understands that this is of course an issue, but you're not throwing a fit like some teenager, or like early 20s junior who has no idea of how to ship software and behaving like an immature brat about it. You're actually mature enough to say that I was trying to push for it. I understand that the company, of course, we need to deliver on time and so forth, but I feel that we need to find a balance between these sorts of things. This way of communicating, guys, you have, I can promise you that they will note this down. The employer will notice if you say something like this, and they will be impressed. They will be fucking impressed if you say this, especially if you are someone who they would have perceived to be like a more junior profile or something like this, because this is the sort of talk that makes an employer go, oh, this is a very useful person to have. If they have the technical skills and they really know what they're doing, this is perfect, because they have communication skills, they have an eye for quality and like for improvements, things like that, which is great because we want that. We don't want people who just are code monkeys, and they are actually good at expressing this. Like they're actually genuinely expressing something about what they feel. They have principles. They have things that they stand by. This is perfect, and this is the key. This is the key. You never ever, like I could have formulated myself in a different way. I could have said, oh yeah, they were shit, because my previous employer, they were absolute shit. They didn't care about testing or anything like that. And testing is of course the most important thing to me, because I have high standards, etc., etc. If you express yourself in this way, what you're saying is basically that, oh, the company was the problem and your way of doing things is the only way to do things, and you didn't really, all you did was to be unhappy with the situation. You weren't actually trying to change the situation or influence the situation in a positive manner. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you want to communicate regarding why you left your previous job, the simplest thing that you can do, the easiest thing and the most mature, secure way, at least if you ask me, is to say, I simply felt that we didn't really share the same value system, or we didn't see eye to eye on how to effectively deliver software. That's the thing you're going for. You're not putting blame on somebody. You are just saying that we had a difference of opinion, we had a different worldview, etc., etc., because it shows that you understand that your perspective may be different from the other perspective, but that there's more than one viewpoint. And that indicates maturity. It indicates maturity at a personal level and at a professional level. And then they will ask you generally, why didn't you have this? What was the problem? Like, they want to have examples. And now they have opened the stage for you. You just enter the stage and take the spotlight and now explain what your values are and why they didn't really fit with the values of the previous company, because they have no way of verifying this. You can basically make up whatever you want. I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that you now have the opportunity to communicate that you, number one, identified issues with the work process. Number two, you realized that, oh, these things can be improved somehow. And number three, you, in a mature way, communicated that we can do something about this. But unfortunately, you didn't get things to happen, or they weren't open to listening or something like that. And so you finally felt that the situation, you couldn't influence the situation in the direction that you wanted. So now here you are looking for another job. Trust me, guys, they will notice if you communicate in this way. Have a great day.